So is this haircut a pre-fight ritual? You always do a haircut before a fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of fighters do. Yeah, you just wanna. I don't know. It's just something I've been doing forever. I like it.
Is it a because you know you're going to be on TV thing, or is it like a cutting away the old, starting the new?
Nah, I just always do it before I get on TV. I typically have one right now, but I was in a rush leaving town and I didn't have time, so I got my brother's barber up here that I'm gonna use.
So now for the important stuff. It's been a year since we've seen you. Can you talk to me about what you've been up to in that year?
Lifing, lifing. That's about it. Just still in the gym training. Family, kids. So that's about it. But other than that, man, like just happy to get it in again. So I've been feeling good. I don't know, just happy.
Did you need that time off, do you think, or were you kind of eager to get back during that time?
In a way, it was a blessing just because like my people don't understand like this game, especially early on in my career. Like I was involved a lot. Like if you see me, I don't even know. I think this fight might put me at or time me for either put me at the most fight in the light heavyweight division or have me tied at the light heavyweight division. But people don't realize early on in my career I wasn't beat up, but like now it's just like even the year I didn't want it off, but I needed it because my body feels great now. So
Was there any time during that break that you felt like not that you might not return? Was there any time where you felt like this is lasting too long?
nah. I tell you one thing I do that I think I have above a lot of other fighters is, and the reason I'm able to last as long as I am and the reason I'm able to do as much as I'm able to do is me actually taking care of my body. And I tell people that comes from, me playing football at University of Tennessee. Hey, look, I need to get this done. I need to get that done. So it's like a weekly regimen where I'm getting deep tissue done, where I'm seeing the chiropractor. If I feel something is kind of off or whatnot, I don't try to fight through it. I can kind of taper back. Hey, look, I got this going on. And me actually seeing the right PT people asking the right questions. Because over time I get to know my body. And especially when you're talking to a PT person, I'm like, hey, look, I know where I'm hurting. And you start actually using their lingo. They were like, okay, you've done this a time or two before, so you know what you're talking about. So with me doing that, it helped out. That helped out tremendously. Like literally, if I'm hurting somewhere, I'm like, hey, I'm around this area. This area is hurting. What's the name of this area? And then be like, okay, this is the name. So if I go to somebody else, I don't have to worry about, I forgot the name. I know everything. Hey, this part of my body is hurting. This is the type of treatment that works for me. This is the type of treatment that actually I have, like, good work with. Some people would be like, okay, I don't like to do it this way. I say, look, I'm telling you what's worked for me, and we can try it, but this is what works for me, and I know how my body responds to it. So that's kind of one of the helping factors where I listen to my body, I know what's wrong with my body, and I actually know where to go and how to get it taken care of.
So can you talk to me a little bit about the phone call when you got the name Kennedy? What were your first thoughts? The return, the date, the location, all of that.
It was a good phone call. Like I said, I just want to get back in there. I mean, the 205 division, like it's different. Right now, it's so shook up. It's crazy because for the better part of 10 to 15 years, you only had like 2 champs in that division. That was John in DC. Now in the past year and a half, how many times the belt's been switched around? It's been crazy. But the 205 division, like I'm kind of, I guess, one of the last guys that's in there. But still, I still feel great, feel fast, feel strong. So when I got the phone call, I was definitely excited about it. Good matchup. He's a tall. He actually has more reach than I do. So a lot of guys I end up having probably an inch. He has an 83-inch reach, long. He likes to strike. He's good at I guess surviving sometimes an onslaught and then coming back and finishing people, whatnot. And a lot of people try to gas themselves out finishing him. So I know with me, I got to be careful on that aspect. But he's a good fighter. I tell anybody, anytime he'll be like, oh, well, he's an okay fighter. I'm like, bro, he's fighting in the UFC. If you fight in the UFC, you're a pretty freaking good fighter. So.
Are you expecting to have to go the 3 rounds with him then? It sounds kind of like you might be.
Man, I'm expected to go 8 seconds, which is the fastest fight I ever had in my life. I'm expected to go 3 rounds. So whether I can finish the fight in 8 seconds or I can finish the fight, 3 rounds at the end of the night, the only thing that matters at the end of the night is me getting my arm raised at the end of the night. So if it's 8 seconds or if it's, 3 rounds, I'm good to go.
I noticed you had a trailer for a movie on your Instagram. Are you in that movie?
No, I am not. I just, my manager told me to put a trailer movie. The movie's actually out right now. I'm actually going to watch it here probably this week.
Is there any desire to be in a movie? It sounded like no.
I mean, I was in one a while back.
What movie?
Was it Black Bear?
Okay. What did you play a fighter?
Yeah, I played a bad guy.
So what did you think of the experience?
It's kind of like choreographed dancing. To be honest, as a kid and when you used to watch all the action-packed movies, all the fight scenes, you'd be like, oh my God, this is so unreal. Like you want to try them, but everything's choreographed and people really don't get hit. But still, it's Hollywood. Hollywood makes everything looks good.
Have you seen the trailer for Connor's movie, Roadhouse?
I've seen the trailer, so that was pretty good.
Does it look authentic? Because I think a lot of people think it looks cheesy, but I mean, it's a movie. Like you said, you're not really getting hit. How much?
I don't know. I've seen the trailer. They show the fight scene and basically the clip goes off somewhere else. So I've seen it. I just, I don't know. I want to check it out. I'm going to check it out, but what movie? The movie that I really wanted to think about was Black Panther 2. Reason being because a lot of that shooting that they had took place in Haiti. I'm Haitian, so I saw the transition. I saw the back lingo of everything or whatnot, and that was actually pretty cool.
So that might be a career you're going to look into?
I'm just saying that would have been a movie. I'm not saying it's a career, but I'm just saying that would have been a movie I would have been in. I would have wanted to be in.
Awesome.
But,
last one for me. You already mentioned that the 205 division is kind of in a jumble right now. Just curious what you think of the upcoming fight between Alex and Jamal.
The thing about it is, I think a lot of people, Alex is, you see, everybody has, you've seen all the memes about Alex, always have the purple face or whatnot. And the thing about Jamal is not phased. I mean, he's coming off an injury, so that's going to be a big thing. And Alex got some mean calf kicks and whatnot. I don't think this fight will go to the ground at all. Jamal likes to strike. Alex likes to strike. Jamal hits hard. I fought him. He hits hard. But the thing about Jamal is he's not the type of guy that's going to just, give up. You can tell he's not going to be the guy that give up. So it should be an interesting fight. It's going to be a definitely, back and forth type deal. But I think the conclusion of the fight is going to be, I think how Jamal is going to trust his body or whatnot. Because, sometimes it's his first fight from coming off an injury, and he's been out for over a year. So, and Alex actually been active in the 205 division, and he stays active. And he's I don't know how the hell he made it down to 85. I'm still I don't know how the hell he made it down to 85.
He probably has a twin brother that's much leaner than him.
Probably so. Yeah. Bruh. I'll be looking at him, I'm like, how do you make it down to 85? And the next day, he's 215, 220. So it should be a good fight, though. It should be a really good fight. I'll definitely be watching.
And you mentioned, there had been some long-standing champions before that. Do you think either of those men could become a long-standing champion, or do you think they're kind of not quite the John Jones type?
Well, that's the thing, though. I think right now the era of mixed martial arts is really good striking right now. And again, the game evolves tremendously because you get guys I don't know, you get champions like 15, 20 years ago, at this weight class right now, it'd have been hard for them to be a champion. Because, I mean, it started off with, like, aggressive type strikers. Then the wrestling came into play. And then basically, like, well, not, it started off with jiu-jitsu, then wrestling, then striking. Then now people defending takedowns really good and striking's going off. Like, you've seen a lot of highlight knockouts now. You've seen good grapplers. You won't even say people are grapplers anymore. It's more like a hybrid type style where you have the jiu-jitsu and wrestling hybrid. It's just hybrid together. You used to have straight jiu-jitsu guys, and now you have jiu-jitsu guys who turn into wrestlers and stuff. So, you know, the aspect of this game is, if you really look at it in the past, like even in the past, like 5-7 years, the game changed tremendously. Like just from evolution-wise, from striking to the striking game has gotten a lot better. And people don't realize too, like even like 15 years ago, you had a guy could have been the age 15. 15 years ago, he's 30 years old now. You know how much time a kid was spending in the gym? Like, that's amazing. I started when I was 25, 26. I was behind the ball game when I started. So, and I tell people too, where when I went pro first, I tell a lot of guys in my gym, when I was fighting pro, like some of these amateur fighters that you see fighting now, 15 years ago, they've been wiping the floors on pro guys. So the game changed tremendously, and it's going to continue to change too. So.
Speaking of that, I reached out to our stat guy, Mike Bond, back at Junkie, that, you know, because you mentioned about you thought this was going to be the record for light heavyweights. You're currently tied with Shogun at 24. This will be 25, so you will set the record. You will have the most fights in the UFC. That being said, you talked a little bit about how things have changed. You know, you've seen this go quite a bit. I mean, like in your time, you talked about the striking sort of change. What's the biggest thing that you've seen change in the sport from your time when you got in? You talked about the evolution, but what has really stuck out to you that the biggest involvement of the games since when you got into it?
Shoot, I guess the biggest thing is the diet. Everything is scientific now, because back in the day, it'd just be like you die to cut weight.
Yeah.
You literally die to cut weight. But like now, everything, it's to the point you eating the night before weigh-ins. Typical fighters, back then, fighters didn't do that. Yeah. But you had so much diet that came through. You had, I remember, Dolce diet that came through. Yep. A lot of people still use, what's his name? I forget his name. Lockhart diet, a lot of people still use him. But then after the PI just basically got everything down to science. But you get other guys that actually know what they're doing, like kind of dive into like just doing stuff like I know I worked with Tyler Minton before. He's really good at doing stuff like that. But and the thing about it is, with him, he fought before too, and he understands how things work, or how your body works or whatnot. Because some things could work for some fighters or whatnot, and that's the biggest thing. I think even with the UFC, like talking to the people at the PI when they're working on your diet and stuff, I'm like, hey, look, I know this shit sucks, but I'm sorry. I know this sucks, but this is the way you have to do it. But the diet now is like I'm happy because I get to eat during weigh-ins, or not weigh-ins, I get to eat during fight week. But not even that, the hydration process afterwards, A1. Just simply because you had guys, I remember after like my second or third pro fight, was it pro fight? I think it was an amateur fight, I can't remember. But I remember after weigh-ins eating some pizza. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, now I used to do some dumb stuff. But like now, like I said, the game changed. Everything is more fine-tuned. Like, what do you eat? How do you eat? Okay, this is your weight goal. If you eat this much amount of food, this much amount of calories, and you train this much, this is exactly the weight you should be. And shoot, I'd be god darn. If you do that, that's exactly the weight you are. And you feel good the whole entire time instead of feeling like you're killing yourself, essentially. So,
I know you've been athletic your whole life, but with the science out there and with, like you said, the diet and stuff, at what point in your career did you finally embrace that particular stuff? You talk about all the extra stuff that you're doing outside to take care of your body, but at what point in your career did you finally say, okay, I really need to start looking at all the fine things outside? Technique's one thing, strategy's one thing, but when did you decide that you had to dial in the diet and dial in what it took to be physically fit to be able to keep doing this for so long?
I mean, for me, I tell people I've been in the weight room all my life. You know, I was a three-letter sport in high school, played football at University of Tennessee, and basically still kept myself in shape afterwards and whatnot. And I think for me, that never went away. I constantly trained my body to do that. And what's crazy about it is when I can get my body out of whack, but when it's time to tune in, my body literally be like, okay, I know what it is. I know how this feels like. Let's go. And I just can push my body to the max and be good. That's the fortunate thing about me. Some people don't want to do it. I love to train. I love to work out. I've been doing it forever. That's pretty much the only thing I know. It's kind of scary too, just because, you know, when all of this is all said and done, people will be like, you're not going to work out. I was like, man, I'm going to work out every single day. I'm still going to work out. But as of right now, nothing is done. So I'm good. I'm good to go.
Well, now you're, in a sense, you're going into the record books, you know, for leading for the most light heavyweight fights. But how do you feel? I mean, is this now a number that you want to run up? I mean, you're 40 years old, but do you still see yourself fighting 2 years, 3 years? How does the body feel?
Bro, look, there's other guys that my body feels great, to be honest. Like, again, it's one of them things. Like I said, I've been blessed in a way just because, like, early on in my career, anytime I needed help, anytime like I had something wrong with me, I was able, like, even early on when you started, like I was able to essentially go to the University of Tennessee and use the trainers that I had and be like, hey, I have this wrong with me. Can you help me out? They'd be like, all right, cool. Sit here. We'll give you the rundown. Boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, I need you here twice, 3 days a week. I need you here twice or 3 days a week so you can get treatment. I'm still able to use their weight room, cold plunge, the trainers, everybody been to me open arms, you know. Even talking to Coach Hypo, he been like, hey, look, anything we can do for you, you let us know. And I was like, believe me, I'm in there a lot.
I was going to ask you, I remember in the past that they asked you back to speak to the players and stuff. Is that something you still get to do?
Yeah, it's funny just for the simple fact where the linebacker coach, he's not at UT anymore, but when he was there, he's Haitian. So, you know, he recruited me out of high school. So him and we were talking. He was like, hey, look, I want you to come talk to our linebackers. And I'm like, all right, cool. I can come talk to your linebackers. And he went from talking to the linebackers, and like 2 days before I come talk, he was like, hey, Coach Hypo needs you to talk to the team. I'm like, what? So I had to talk to the whole team. It was funny because we walked in there, and everybody was kind of talking. They put a highlight video, and everybody got quiet, which is cool, which I got their attention. Then pretty much I was answering questions for the next hour and a half. Hypo had to stop him from asking questions because he was like, okay, we had to stop him. We have never had this much questions asked before. So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But every time I go back to the complex and whatnot, it's pretty much all love. Everybody sees me. It's pretty much all love.
MMA highlight or from your playing days?
Huh?
The highlight they show, was that MMA highlight or your football days?
MMA highlight.
Yeah.
They don't want to see that. They know I used to play football at UT, but they didn't want to see that. But when they see highlight, football guys will be like, ooh. So, but yeah.
Last for me, tell me, break down Kennedy's striking. I mean, obviously, you know, he's expecting you to want to get him to the ground, but so he wants to try to stay standing. What do you think of his striking? How has it evolved since he's been in the UFC?
I mean, his striking actually been pretty good. He's, like I said, he's very long. He's really good at throwing. He has a really sneaky cross that he throws and whatnot. But people also forget too, my striking is actually pretty good. Like, it had a dilemma when I first fought Shogun and whatnot, that people was like, he had advantage of his striking over me, and that kind of ticked me off. And I was like, okay, cool. And I ended up knocking him out. But you know, people don't realize, like, within this game, I have unorthodox submissions where I can get just unorthodox technique. So I have knockouts with my legs. I've broken people's arms with my legs. I have a knockout with my hands too. So, you know, it can go either way for me. So I think it's more I think the advantage goes more towards me. Some people might not think that. You know, Kennedy, like I said, he's good. His striking is good, but I think mine's a little better.
And we know you're going to be looking for the Von Preux out there as well.
Man, I got so much other crap I can get. I got so much, like my transitions, the way I've been feeling lately, like that right there, that just like that right there is something I can do with my eyes closed. I don't like, it's automatic. I don't have to think about it. I can do it standing up. I can do it pretty much anywhere. So, I don't have to even think about it. You grab my head, I know where to go immediately. So, and if you grab my head, you just know that there's a likelihood that I'm going to beat you to wherever you need to go. So.
Last keys to the victory. What needs to happen to make sure you get your arm raised on Saturday?
I mean, me, just be me. The way I've been training, the way I've been feeling, the way I've been training, the way I've been feeling, the way everything just been clicking together. Just continue that. I'm just kind of hold on to that. Once I hold on to that, I'll be good. Also too, Mike have been helping me out a lot, so that's been tremendous. So he just say, look, Mike, I need your help, and he'd be like, okay, let's talk. We'll talk, and it's good.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Pete, thanks for taking the time. Well, you touched on it a little bit about just, and if anything, your longevity, but we had that chapter with the Huas, Liddells, Rashad Evans, Little Machidas, and now the one's kind of holding it down would be the, OSP and like a Lionheart Smith. Now you're being matched up against that young gun. Do you feel any type of way? You're like the established guy, the name, and now you're in that position to where you're like, oh man, there's a dude up and coming. I'm facing him.
I mean, technically he's not up and coming. He had like probably 7, 8 fights in the UFC now.
But against a big name like yourself, like this is his biggest test against a living legend.
It's bound to happen. It happened to me. It happened to me. So I remember I got the Shogun fight on the 8-day notice, and I remember watching when I first got involved in mixed martial arts. That's my man. That's who I was watching. And I was like, man, I get to fight Shogun. He was actually my hero, and I get to fight him. I was a nervous wreck for about 24 hours, and I was like, all right, let's go. But what's crazy about it is, after you make a leap like that, like my trainer said, after you make a leap like that, it was like you're not fighting guys with your level of potential. Everybody else you're going to fight are going to be dogs. So, and that's the thing people don't realize is like, oh yeah, I want to move up. I want to move up. Okay, suit yourself. When you move up, and you be like, oh crap. Because breaking in the top 15 is always good. Top 10, yes. But when you break into the top 5, there's a reason why like a lot of those guys in the top 5 kind of circling up there, because the margin of error is small and they can capitalize off of anything. And you get guys like even Glover, like he was in the top 5 forever, but there was a lot of fights that he had in the first round he was in trouble. But guess what happened? Boom, boom, take you down, crop, boom, submitted. So, those guys that they know how to capitalize on that margin of error. When I fought him, he told me, he was like, you probably hit me the hardest in my career, because I hit him with a body kick, and I thought it crumbled him, which it did. And he came back and like literally I'm hitting him with everything. And he was like, hey, look, because I told him, he was like, your fight, he told me, your fight was one of the hardest I ever trained in my life. And I was like, why did you have to wait for my fight to do that? But, things change though. But at the end of the day, I give him a good fight. He ended up finishing me. But again, he's another legend in the game.
No doubt. And shout out to guys like you and Glover in the 40s, because he was able to go get that belt. I'm not saying you can't do the same thing. Give me one little gem that this version of you is able to compete and stay relevant, as opposed to the younger version that you're like, man, I can't believe I get away with that. I'm so much better and smarter now. Technology.
Well, it's not so much of a technology. Like, people don't often understand. Like, the game of mixed martial arts is a physical game, but people don't realize how much of a mental game it can be. Like, Dustin Poirier was talking about that the other day. How there's times you just start doubting yourself, like, hey, is it me? What am I doing? What should I do? Should I change anything or whatnot? But again, you start talking to people, and Micah has helped me out a lot. So like literally, hey, look, you're thinking too much. What are you doing right now? Hey, you need to catch on. You need to hold on to your balloon. So he tells me that, and I'm just telling myself, okay, cool. I've been feeling good. Even, when I'm going out running, I like running by myself at night just because the elements is a little different. So everybody can run outside during the daytime and feel good, but at night is a little different when you run at night. Your senses, all your senses tend to be heightened. I like that. It kind of gives me a flight or fight type of deal, which helps me out tremendously. And doing it helps, but doing it, I know when it helps when it's late at night, it's pitch black, and I see something run across me and I don't even flinch.
Awesome.
That's when I kind of know like I'm in a zone now, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good. So, just doing different things to actually, bring your focus sharp. Because I know what I'm capable of doing. People see me training in the gym, and like, I know what Vince is capable of doing. But a lot of times when you want to apply it, to in the octagon or whatnot, sometimes like the nervousness gets to you or whatnot. And I've been doing this for a while, but it happens to everybody. Dustin Poirier had been doing it for a while, and he was like, man, my head was just jacked up. It happens to a lot of people. So if you get the right help for it, you typically end up being good.
Hey, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, and just even the fact that like a true mixed martial artist to get dialed in, even knowing how to do that, that's a big one for you, my man. You touched on something earlier that I don't hear about much. We don't really hear people talking about, that recovery. Why do you think there's a lack of education in that? Because that definitely will prolong your career, but you don't hear people go in on like, oh man, I got this way to heal up, this way to listen to my body, the deep tissue massage, yoga, Pilates, whatever. You don't hear that. Like, are people not educated enough on recovery?
I mean, you got to think about it too. A lot of fighters, when they came into the game, they didn't really come with anything. They didn't came with any. There was only a few fighters that came in with certain type of deals. Like, well, I need to get a deep tissue, I need to get recovery or whatnot. So everybody used to just grind or whatnot, and it's kind of a good thing with the PI came into play. Like a lot of fighters started knowing about that now, so that helps out a lot, especially the people, the guys at the PI. With Heather, Bobby, and all of them, they know what they're doing. Like literally, like, hey, Bobby, I got this wrong with me. Like even when I used to talk to Heather, what do you think about this? Doing a full body assessment on you, and you'd be like, okay, this is where you're lacking at. You're tight on this, so we need to focus more on this. We're going to tailor your workouts around here or whatnot. So I mean, they know what they're doing. So that helped out tremendously. But even beforehand, I used to call and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about this? I'm always asking questions, especially when it comes to like recovery type, whether it's doing dry needling, whether it's doing shockwave therapy, whether it's doing fascial stretching and whatnot. I'm always asking the question. Anybody asks me about something, I'm always asking them about it.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck on Saturday. Can't wait to see you and the new haircut.
Appreciate it.